From WNIJ Studios on the campus of Northern Illinois University, this is Sessions from Studio A. I'm Spencer Tritt. With nothing other than a guitar and their voice, indie artist Hannah Sandoz creates ambient atmospheres that feel both expansive and intimate. Their latest EP, Held and Holding, was released this past September and is streaming everywhere. We'll hear Hannah Sandoz play some of those songs live in Studio A and talk about the background of that new EP.
I started experiencing chronic pain, and so I was, having the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life, which is being in agony basically all the time for no reason. And then one of the best things that ever happened to me, which was that I was falling in love.
Hannah Sandoz this hour on Sessions from Studio A, coming up right after these headlines from NPR. This is Sessions from Studio A. I'm Spencer Tritt, welcoming our special guest this week, Hannah Sandoz. They create lush textures and ambient atmospheres using only the voice and a guitar, thanks to some really creative and ingenious ways of using live effects and looping. Later on, we'll talk with Hannah Sandoz about how they achieve this sound and about their latest EP, Held and Holding. Let's start things off with one from Held and Holding. This is Hannah Sandoz performing Summer Song live on Sessions from Studio A.
My name is Hannah Sandoz. My friends call me Han. My mom calls me Hanny. I like they, them, or he, him pronouns, and this is Summer Song. So next, I'm going to play a song called Held and Holding. It's actually the title track from my new EP. This EP came out, I want to say, like almost 2 months ago, which is pretty crazy. And then I went on a little tour, starting in the Midwest, going all the way to the Southeast, Richmond, Virginia. And then we went all the way up to Rochester and back again. So that was really fun.
Shutter storms I slept
This is Sessions from Studio A, and you just heard Hannah Sandoz playing live in the studio with us, and I'm joined now by Hannah. Thanks so much for coming out to DeKalb and playing with us today in Studio A.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was really fun.
I want to get a little of your background because your first EP you've put out under your own name here came out in 2019, but I feel like you've been making music for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When I first started putting out music, I used the moniker Sandoz, and so I actually have quite a lot of music on Bandcamp under that moniker. Some deep cuts from when I was in high school and early college. And as I was attending Oberlin and studying music there, I sort of just wanted to get a little bit more serious about my music and started publishing music under my full name for that reason, so that people could, know who I am and what I'm making. And it felt more vulnerable in a way than having like a goofy stage name or even just like a regular band name. But it also feels like the risk is paid off in some ways.
Yeah, that's almost like a symbolic thing. Like choosing to release music under your own name is not, a light choice.
Yeah, it felt like I was coming into myself in a way.
Mm-hmm. I want to get right into talking about the set and some of these cool effects people are hearing. There's like layered vocals and all these effects going on, and these are not things that we're adding, after in the mixing room or whatever. You're doing all this layering and looping live. Tell us a little bit about your setup today and how you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all live. I run Ableton Live 11 in my computer, and then I have plugins, which are basically similar to guitar pedals. They do the work for me. So I tell all the plugins using my computer what I want them to do and when. And I control them with that foot pedal, which is a Behringer FCB 1010. It doesn't have any effects inside of it. It's kind of more of just of a controller. And so the foot controller, the foot pedal, sends the instructions to the computer and says, hey, this is the one I want to use now. Turn it on, or hey, I don't want to use that anymore. Turn it off. And it's taken me a really, really long time to set all this up and get it to where it is. But as of right now, I think I have about between 10 and 12 controls that I can use at any one time, which I'm really excited about. So there's a lot of different stuff happening there.
Yeah, controlling the computer with your feet.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Have you always kind of known what sound you wanted for yourself, or is this sounds like this has been kind of a process too? Tell me a little bit about kind of finding your unique sound that you have. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, my unique sound, I would say that it found me more so than me finding it. I never had really a vision for what I wanted my music to sound like. When I started making music, I just kind of knew what kind of stories I wanted to tell, what I wanted to say, and I knew how I wanted to make people feel. And so I am sort of just constantly like looking at what my songs are saying, the stories that they're telling, and listening to the ways that they come out. I record myself when I practice and I listen back to it and I think, does this make me feel the way that I want people to feel when they hear this story? And that's how we sort of got here. And I gravitate towards, sounds that sound like they could be happening in really big rooms and cathedrals and thick sounds and lush sounds, and beautiful harmonies and a lot of layered vocals. Those kinds of things make me feel the way that I like to feel when I listen to music, make me feel vulnerable and emotional, and sort of in touch with some of those stories. I can't watch while it's happening. This is simply circumstances, writing glove notes as the tram hits. have something super special for you guys now. I haven't played this song live in probably like 8 months, and the last time I played it live was the first time I'd played it live in like years, probably. This song is from the EP I released called The Year of Alone. I released that EP right after COVID on New Year's Day 2021. And so this song is called Happy Face with Tears, or on some streaming platforms, : comma, close parentheses. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted it to be performed live, because it's got some very special textures, but I don't want to give away too much. This is Happy Face with Tears.
Hannah Sandoz on Sessions from Studio A. That last song was Happy Face with Tears. You can find that one and more from Hannah Sandoz streaming on Spotify and Apple Music. We also have behind-the-scenes video from that last song over on WNIJ.org, along with this full episode. Stay tuned for more music and conversation coming up with Hannah Sandoz here on Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A. Let's get right back into our performance with Hannah Sandoz recorded live in Studio A with another one from their latest EP, Held and Holding. This next one is titled Surrender, and then after that we will hear one that was inspired by Hannah Sandoz's time living in Louisiana and was written in their favorite swamp. You're hearing music and conversation with Hannah Sandoz this hour on Sessions from Studio A. One song you played here today that tells a little bit about your life and about your background is the song Moss Unfurling, and that's on your latest EP too. And that one is a little bit about your upbringing in Louisiana. And whenever I'm down south, I always see the Spanish moss, and I always think it looks so cool and interesting. Tell us a little bit about that song, Moss Unfurling, and about your upbringing in Louisiana.
Yeah, so Moss Unfurling is about going home to Louisiana. Lafayette, Louisiana is where I grew up, and it's a really, really special town. It's so hard to describe, but especially when you get out into nature, there's just a certain eccentricity to Louisiana and the Gulf Coast as a whole. There's, plants like the Spanish moss and animals like the cranes and the egrets that you don't really see a lot of other places, and you don't really see outside of wetlands environments. And yeah, I mean, as a queer person, growing up in the Deep South was hard at times, and it was alienating at times. But I just think that it's so important to also acknowledge like the beauty and the creation that's happening in places like this, because I've met some of the most talented artists that I've ever worked with in my hometown, and I play with them, and watch their sets to this day.
And you said about that song that was written in your favorite swamp.
Yeah, it was written in Lake Martin. So last time I went home, I actually had COVID. I didn't realize it. I had taken a COVID test that day, but then I got home and almost immediately had to go into quarantine. So I took my guitar and my mask and I went out to Lake Martin and just sort of sat on the jetty, like where you would launch your boat off of, basically, and sat down and wrote. And I wrote about leaving Chicago. I left behind my girlfriend at the time, who I had just met, so wasn't quite ready to come home for Christmas in the Deep South. That's kind of a big step, but yeah, so I was home for Christmas without her and just kind of missing her and reflecting on the beauty in my home that I had left behind in Chicago and comparing it to the beauty that I was finding and returning to that I know so well of my hometown.
Oh, I love that. I hope to one day have a favorite swamp. I'll make my way down to Louisiana. But you've only been in Chicago and in Illinois here for a couple years, it's been?
Yeah, going on 3 years in June, I think.
How do you like it up north then here?
I love Chicago. Getting used to winter was definitely a bit of a learning curve, but I lived in Ohio for 4 years throughout college, so I felt like the winters were just a tiny bit milder there, and then Chicago was really like the test of like, have I learned how to layer? Yeah. And it's gotten to this weird point where I actually kind of appreciate winter. Like growing up, I hated the cold. In college, I hated the cold, but slowly as I got older and older and experienced more of winter, I started to see the beauty and sort of the necessity of that balance. It's like so hot all summer, and then winter comes and does its thing, and I've stopped resisting in a way. I've stopped fighting against it, and I'm happy to just let it be.
I want to talk a little bit about your new EP. So you put this out in September, Held and Holding. Tell us a little bit about this EP.
Sure, yeah. Held and Holding is about a really crappy part of my life. I started experiencing chronic pain in 2022, just sort of like out of nowhere. Kind of woke up one day and I was in excruciating pain. And I kind of thought like, oh, I slept funny and it'll go away. And it sort of did. But after a few months, it was pretty constant, pretty consistent, and pretty terrible. And this is around the same time that I met my girlfriend. And so I was, having the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life, which is being in agony basically all the time for no reason. And then one of the best things that ever happened to me, which was that I was falling in love with my girlfriend, who I'm still with to this day. And navigating all of the massive feelings around all of those things that were happening was really hard. I felt really like trapped inside of my body. I felt a lot of uncertainty around like, am I gonna get my heart broken? Am I gonna get my neck broken? Because I was like doing chiropractor stuff for my pain, and it was really weird and not really working. And it took a really, really long time, but I eventually, sort of settled into my relationship. and settled into like a sort of, calmer, more sustainable love, settled into my body, and found physical therapy and found exercises and things that, help my chronic pain. And I'm pretty happy to say that I'm in managed chronic pain, mild chronic pain these days, and my life is like livable again. I'm functioning again. I'm not in agony all the time, but I really, like I said earlier, had to process these things, right? I had to find some way to get through it all and make sense of it all, and so I did it, and then this album came about.
And that album is Held and Holding. We're talking with Hannah Sandoz on Sessions from Studio A and hearing live recordings with songs from Held and Holding. You can find that record out streaming on all usual streaming platforms now, and you can buy a copy over on Bandcamp under Hannah Sandoz. Stick around, we'll be right back after the short break with more music here on Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A. I'm Spencer Tritt with our guest Hannah Sandoz, and let's get right back into the live performance here in Studio A with another one from that new EP Held and Holding. You can find that out on all streaming services now and buy a copy over on Bandcamp. This next one's titled A Lot, A Little. It's Hannah Sandoz, recorded live on Sessions from Studio A. what is coming up next for you on the horizon as we continue into the winter here and into this new year? What's coming up for you?
I am really interested in some of those sounds you mentioned earlier with the layered vocals and some of the more, I would say, drawn out sound worlds, because what I'm performing for you here are these short little songs, 2, 3, 5 minutes. But what I'm interested in is, taking a beautiful moment like that, like maybe your favorite moment from Summer Song or your favorite moment from Surrender, and how can I take that feeling and stretch it out into 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. So I'm sort of returning to drone music, which is
Ooh.
a category of instrumental music, typically instrumental music, and experimental electronic music that usually takes place over a longer period of time and uses some more of those extended techniques, such as like delay and really interesting vocal approaches and lots and lots of layered luscious, vibrant sounds happening, but sort of slow changes that are modulated over a long time. And I'm going to continue performing the stuff that I've shared with you today, but just sort of going back into my academic roots and going back to study some of the music that really touched me in college and see how I can bring that and this new practice that I'm trying to form in the new year and sort of combine it with what I've done and what I've shown you today. And a little bit about what I've shown you today is I'm going to take it to South by Southwest for the second year in a row in March. I'm really excited to go down and see
Cool.
some of my friends who live in Austin. I don't usually play like the official festival. I just sort of make a little tour out of it and piece together some unofficial showcases. But yeah, so that's going to be kind of my next like big Hannah Sandoz thing. And then going to study some vocal drone music on the side.
Oh, very exciting. So there could be a Hannah Sandoz ambient drone album in the future, possibly.
Possibly.
I love that. Well, Hannah Sandoz, that was a beautiful set. Thank you so much again for coming out to DeKalb and playing in Studio A for us today. Thanks
Thank you
again.
so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Once I'm a virtuous, I'm still crawling on the bed like a child in a nightmare. Maybe I'm the one that's crooked, and all the signs that point to guarantees that I believed, they're just wondering about me like the day they tried to leave. All the pictures that I've taken of the people that I loved, all cut out behind the notebook that you start thinking of. And the time it just keeps ticking, sticky goosebumps on my neck. Apologize for the mistakes that I thought I had to finish. All the while words are hanging like the stray cat on my lawn, stuck on sandpapery tongue. I finally found them, but you're gone. Perseverance on the porch swing feels like only yesterday, but I left my rose in Ohio and it's so far away. It didn't have to feel important like the ways we went inside, living lonely in the bedroom, making anthems of my pride, making messes in the morning, drowning stressors in the sun. If I really think about it, I could be the only one. I could be the only one. I could be the only one.
Hannah Sandoz, closing out their live performance in Studio A and our show for this week. A big thanks to Hannah Sandoz once again for joining us, and to you for listening in to the show this hour. Find more from Hannah Sandoz, including that new EP Held and Holding, on all streaming services, also on Bandcamp, where you can buy a copy of the album. Follow Hannah on social media at Han Sandoz on Facebook, and on Instagram at SNAODZ. You can head over to WNIJ.org to find behind-the-scenes video from this concert and this full episode, along with many others. Sessions from Studio A is produced at WNIJ Studios. Producers are yours truly, along with Mike Lundgren and Sam Nofsker. Production intern is Royce Pataris. I'm Spencer Tritt. Thanks so much for joining me this week, and I will see you next time on another edition of Sessions from Studio A.